Hello, everybody. How are you all? Today we are going to study a poem, The Snake Train by W. Ross. So, before starting, let me give his full name to you. His full name was William Brighton Eustace Ross. He was a Canadian geophysicist and a poet too. And he was very fond of writing imagery kind of poems, which gives a clear cut image in the poem is called imagist poetry. So, let us begin with the lesson. The snake train. So, are you seeing the snake? The picture of the snake? Snakes look like this? No, I know it's a cartoon one. Okay, doesn't matter. So, in this poem, the poet says that whenever we see a snake, a thought strikes in our mind. A snake is a dangerous creature, we should kill it. But actually, the poet is a geophysicist was a geophysicist, so he loves nature, and every single bit of nature he wanted to save it. So he had great love for snake, but our mindset is different with these nature lovers. So what happens is whenever we see a snake, first thought strikes in our mind, we have to kill it. But this man, he says that all snakes are not dangerous. All snakes are not poisonous. So in this poem, the poet says that the snake tries to escape from being hit by the stick held by a person who is trying to kill it. The poet wants to say that all snakes are not harmful. Human notion is wrong. Human notion about snakes is very dangerous. They always have a thought that we should kill it on the spot itself, but it is not true. Some of the snakes, especially which are green in color, they are harmless because they consume from nature. That's why their color is green. So they hide in the green bushes, uh, just just like a camouflage, just to cover themselves with the greenery so that they do not be recognized as a snake. So let's move to the poem. So, in this picture, you are seeing that this is the nature of man, or this is the nature of a person. Whenever they see a snake moving inside their house or in their backyard or in their garden or anywhere, they hold a stick and they try to kill that snake with the stick. So, you will come across in the poem a word called pursuing stick. So remember this word, pursuing stick. I am going to discuss this about it in the later in the poem, when the poem ends. So the first stanza, the snake trying to escape the pursuing stick with sudden curvings of thin long body. How beautiful and graceful are his shapes. The meaning of pursuing is chasing. Now, you will say pursuing stick, chasing stick. What is this chasing stick? A stick is a non-living creature. How can a stick chase? So actually over here pursuing stick refers to the person who is holding the stick and chasing the animal to harm the animal or to kill the animal. And curvings means twisting. As you know, snakes, they move in a twisting manner like this. So, the snake tries to escape from being hit by a stick that is following it. So, now according to the snake, it is the stick that is following him. So, he is afraid of the stick that is following him. So, as the snake crawls, its body twists and turns, forming fascinating shapes. So, you see the intention of the poet. The poet loves every bit of nature. even animals too. So, how much love he has for a nature, for a snake, that you see how he is telling that how beautiful it looks, how graceful it looks. Do you know? Graceful. Whom do we address graceful? The one that looks very beautiful, especially when your mummy, she wears a sari and she gets ready for a party. How graceful she looks, doesn't she? So, you see, this graceful adjective, this beautiful adjective is used for praising the beauty of a female creature, whereas this poet has used it for a snake. Just try to understand the feelings and intentions of this man, of this poet, that how much he loves these type of creatures called snake. Whereas we, when we see a snake, what happens to us? Bapre, snake! Oh, let's kill it. Let's try to kill it. And then we go on chasing. Let's move to the next stanza. He glides through the water away from the stroke. Oh, let him go over the water into the reeds to hide without hurt. Small and green, he is harmless even to children. You see how nicely he has very clearly said. So the meaning of glides is moves. Stroke means hitting of the stick. Reeds. Reeds are water or marshy plants with thick stems. So, who glides? The snake. The snake moves through the water in order to save itself. The poet pleads to let it escape. The poet is telling, let him go, let him save his life, let him live his life. Everybody has the right to live, even animals. Why should we kill animals? So the poet is pleading that let it escape. Let it go and hide in the marshy bushes. And this green creature, this small green creature, he is telling that is very harmless. It is not going to even harm small children. So what to talk about the grown-up ones? So let's move to the third stanza. Are you seeing this picture? The snake has got inside the pond or water area. Are you seeing these white lines? They are the picture of ripples. Okay. So you keep in mind this thing, because we are coming in the next stanza where we will talk about ripples. The meaning is there. So you try to understand the meaning. Okay. Along the sand he lay until observed and chased away, and now he vanishes in the ripples among the slim green reeds. So, vanishes means disappear, and ripples, I have shown you the meaning there in the picture. So, till it was spotted and chased away by the person holding a stick, it lays quietly in the sand. It was resting very quietly in the sand. Someone observed that very carefully. That is why they came to know. Otherwise, they wouldn't have known. So, in order to save itself, the snake disappears in the ripples of the water and hides in the camouflaging green bushes of the marshy plants. So, as you see, in the water, especially in the ponds, in the rivers, at the side of that, you will find a number of reeds, that marshy bushes that are grown there. Often those weeds that you see that are grown there, no, that only they are talking about. So what do? They are also green in color. So these snakes, they get inside those marshy bushes and they hide themselves. So it was somebody who observed carefully and started attacking and disturbed the snake. Otherwise, the snake wouldn't have come to their hands. So, the poet is trying to say over here that do not do not disturb them. Let them live their life. As you are living your life nicely, let them also have the right to live. So this is all about the poem. So I'm going to discuss a little bit about poetic devices. In this, the poetic devices, you will come across transferred epithet. Transferred epithet over here is that which has an adjective plus noun. Like I gave you the example in the beginning, pursuing stick. Do you remember that? So that pursuing is adjective and stick is noun. But that thing, that adjective refers to some other noun. Now pursuing stick is referred to the human being because that stick cannot pursue. Are you trying to understand me? A stick cannot follow anybody. It is referring to the human being. So that is called transferred epithet, where they are using some object to show it, but it is referring to somebody else. Like the pursuing stick is a transferred epithet. It is talking about a thing, but actually it is referring to something else, that is human being, because a human being is holding that stick and pursuing. And moreover, you will not come across any rhyming scheme because it is written in freestyle poem. It is a free verse poem. There is no A B or A B B or A B or B B C C, nothing like that. So there is no poetic device here. I mean to say, there is no rhyming scheme here. It is a free verse poem, but you may come across some alliteration over here. I had seen in the poem, he is harmless. You see in the second stanza, small and green, he is harmless. So are you noticing two same sound stress? He, her. He, harmless. So her sound is there. So this is one kind of alliteration. So with this we come to an end to the poem The Snake Rhyme. Thank you.